Simple thing. About an hour later, we were all seated in a giant auditorium waiting for Mr. Tushman to give his middle school address. The auditorium was even bigger than I imagined. It would be bigger even than the one at VS School. I looked around, and there must have been a million people in the audience. Okay, maybe not a million, but definitely a lot. Thank you, Headmaster Jensen, for those very kind words of introduction, said Mr. Tushman, standing behind the podium on the stage as he talked into the microphone. Welcome, my fellow teachers and members of the faculty. Welcome, parents and grandparents, friends, and honored guests, and most especially welcome to my 5th and 6th grade students. Welcome to the Beecher Prep Middle School graduation ceremonies. Everyone uploaded. Every year, continued Mr. Tushman, reading from his notes with his reading glasses way down on the tip of his nose. I am charged with writing two commencement addresses, one for the 5th and 6th graduation ceremony today, and one for the 7th and 8th grade ceremony that will take place tomorrow. And even year, I say to myself, let me cut down on my work and write just one dress that I can use for both situations. Seems like it shouldn't be such a hard thing to do, right? And yet each year I still end up with two different speeches, no matter what my intentions, and finally figured out why this year it's not. It's not as you might assume, simply because tomorrow I'll be talking to an older crowd with a middle school experience that is largely behind them, whereas your middle school experience is largely in front of you. Now I think it has to do more with this particular age that you're right now, this particular moment in your lives, that even after 20 years of my being around students, this age still moves me because you're at the cusp, kids. You're at it, you're at the edge between childhood and everything that comes after. You're in transition. We are all gathered here together. Mr. Tushman continued, taking off his glasses and using them to point at all of us in the audience, all your families, friends, and teachers, to celebrate not only your achievements of this past year, Beecher Middle Schoolers, but your endless possibilities. When you reflect on this past year, I want you all to look at where you are now and where you've been. You've all gotten a little taller and a little stronger, a little smarter, I hope. Here some people in the audience chuckled, but the best way to measure how much you've grown isn't by inches or the number of laps you can now run around the track or even your great point of courage through those things are important to be sure. It's what you've done with your time, how you've chosen to spend your wet days, and whom you have touched this year that to me is the greatest measure to success. There is a wonderful line in the book by J.M. Barrie, and no, it's not Peter Pan. And I'm not going to ask you to clap if you believe in fairies. Here everyone laughed again, but in another book by J.M. Barrie called The Little White Bird, he writes, he started flipping through a small book on the podium until he found the page he was looking for, and then he put on his reading glasses. Shall we make a new rule of life? Always to try to be a little kinder than is necessary.